as the engineer's measurements.
We discussed that, I believe, in the last meeting.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Thank you. Is the developer here? Would like to say anything?
Todd Allenbrand, Payne and Brockway, 426 South Kansas Avenue. I'm here with the owner-developer, Phil Martins, and we're in agreement of the staff report and here to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time we'll have our commissioner discussion. I'll start with you, Commissioner Mader.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ford.
No questions.
Commissioner Ham.
Yes, I do, and this might be a clarification just because I'm new to the process, but I was looking at the items that were checked no, the final floodplain modeling. I know the street plan is included on the recommendations, but the other items that were checked no, was that previously handled or on the final plat application checklist? Were those things handled prior? Is that why they were checked no?
That is correct.
Okay,
Everything on
that's-
the application is
Okay.
approved.
Okay, that was just for my clarification. Sorry.
Very good. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Ham.
The only question that I wrote down as I was kind of reading through the materials was in regards to recommendation number 1 on providing a street tree plan. My only question was, is that with or without deviation? Is that in total compliance of what generally is accepted for the model for the street tree plan?
Yeah, the street tree plan is really a difficult thing to just put the trees down on the plat or a landscape type plan, because we don't know where the driveways are going, we don't know where street lights are going, fire hydrants, so those need to be manipulated. So I've talked with the developer's engineer, and they have informed me that this is kind of what other communities are doing. They're kind of waiting until they get their public improvement plans completed before they actually start putting the landscape down, so that we don't have any confusion where the trees are going to go.
Okay, that'll work. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner D.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner McNear.
No questions.
I have none. All right, with no further discussion, I'd be happy to accept the motion on this item.
After review of case FP-20-14, a final plat for Copper Springs Meadows, first plat, tax IDs CF 221413-3007 and CF 221413-3008, located south of 159th Street at the southern extent of University Park Drive, and the final plat dated January 4th and staff report dated January 20th, 2021, I assume. The Planning Commission approves the application as proposed, provided the following conditions are met. Provide a street tree plan. Excise tax will be paid prior to the release of the plat for recording. The construction plans for any utilities, infrastructure, or public facilities shall meet all technical specifications, and public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to the release of the plat for recording, and provide a copy of the recorded temporary turnaround easements for 160th and 161st Courts, and recommends the governing body accepts dedication of the right-of-way and easements.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Deaton and a second by Commissioner McNear. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor state aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, next item is regular agenda 2A, FDP-20-06.
Oh, there we go. All right. Item 2 is the Lakes of Conestoga Final Development Plan and Final Plat. I'll be reading both of these together, and then we'll kind of make a break for recommendations on each one. Subject property is zoned RMP, Residential Manufactured and Mobile Home Planned District, and is currently unplatted and undeveloped. The subject property includes approximately 20 acres of land, is located at the southeast intersection of East Santa Fe Street and Conestoga Drive. The final development plan consists of one lot on approximately 20 acres. The planned development will consist of 95 individual mobile home sites, open and civic space amenities, including a large retention pond surrounded by a walking trail for exercise, a pavilion area that includes an outdoor grill area, shelter, and picnic facilities, multiple dog parks, and pockets of dedicated green areas throughout the community for residents to gather and spend time in. The street type is local neighborhood, and 5-foot sidewalks have been proposed on both sides of all internal streets, with sidewalk connections along Santa Fe Street that connect to existing sidewalks along Conestoga Drive and to adjacent properties. While the final development plan is not consistent with the future land use map, staff is supportive of the development request because the proposed site is located directly adjacent to existing manufactured mobile home residential communities and will be a continuation of the already existing residential development of the immediate surrounding area. Additionally, the development will provide affordable and attainable housing options for people residing and working in the city of Gardner. With the deviation approvals and on open and civic space requirements and mobile home setback requirements, this development meets the standards of the Land Development Code. All infrastructure and utilities are available to the site. However, the applicant is showing public utility easements on the plat, which are to be dedicated to the city, but is proposing a private water system to service the development. The applicant is currently in discussions with the utility department regarding water provisions and the potential use of private lines to serve the individual mobile home sites. Staff recommends approval of the final development plan with the conditions outlined below. The construction plans for any utilities, infrastructure, and public facilities shall meet all technical specifications, and public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to the issuance of a building permit. And a written agreement for the use of a private water system is provided on both the final development plan and final plat between the city and the developer for the Lakes of Conestoga. After review of application FDP-20-06, a final development plan for Lakes of Conestoga dated January 15th, 2021, and staff report dated January 26, 2021. The Planning Commission approves the application provided the following conditions are met. The construction plans for any utilities, infrastructure, or public facilities shall meet all technical specifications, and public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to the issuance of a building permit, and a written agreement for use of a private water system is provided on both the final development plan and final plat between the city and the developer for Lakes of Conestoga.
Thank you. Is the developer here? Would the developer like to speak?
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Curtis Holland. I'm the attorney for the developer, Green Corp Partners, with Polsinelli Law Firm. I'm here also with Judd Clausen with Phelps Engineering, PEI, who prepared the plan. We are in support of the final plan application, final plat application, I know, which is the next agenda item. Appreciate working with the city and the staff on the plan. It looks like we're headed in the right direction, and it's consistent, identical really, with the approved preliminary plan. And so we're in support of it and would ask for your approval or recommendation, and here to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we'll go to commissioner comments. Again, I'll start with you, Commissioner Mader.
Thank you, Chairman. I do find it just a little bit interesting. It's a little something different with the water, but it sounds like staff's working well with our applicant. So I'm going to go with those two are in good conversation, and looks like there isn't any concern. And our applicant made a good point that this was nothing out of line with what we've seen. Just a little something different, but I don't have any questions. So thank you. This is a good good application for City of Gardner.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Ford,
No questions.
Commissioner Ham,
No questions. I concur with Commissioner Nader.
Commissioner Hanson,
No questions.
Commissioner Deaton,
No questions.
Commissioner McNear.
No questions.
And again, I concur. It's the right place, and it's a good plan for that spot. So very happy with it, and that it stayed on with the plat too. So with no further discussion, I'd accept a motion.
After review of application FDP-20-06, a final development plan for the Lakes of Conestoga dated January 15, 2021, and staff report dated January 26, 2021, Planning Commission approves the application provided the following conditions are met. The construction plans of any utilities, infrastructure, or public facilities shall meet all technical specifications, and public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to issuance of a building permit. And a written agreement for use of a private water system is provided on both the final development plan and final plat between the city and developer for the Lakes of Conestoga.
And a second?
Second.
Mix it up. I'll have a motion by Commissioner Ford and a second by Commissioner Deaton. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor state aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, on to the final plat. This is basically just a one-lot subdivision plat. I've already kind of filled everybody in on the development plan, so we'll just go straight to the staff findings. Final plat contains block patterns consistent with the existing development. The final plat is in substantial compliance with the preliminary plat and the land development code. No deviations are requested with this plat, and the entire property is subject to excise tax that shall be paid prior to the release of the final plat for recording. Staff recommends approval of the final plat for the Lakes of Conestoga, subject to the following conditions: approval of a final development plan, and a written agreement for use of a private water system is provided on both the final development plan and final plat between the city and the developer for the Lakes of Conestoga.
Good. Thank you. Again, would the representative of the developer like to speak on this, or are you good?
Just if you have questions, I'm here. We're here.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to commissioner discussion then. Again, Commissioner Mader, do you have anything for this?
Nothing further, just a clarification on the motion, because Mr. Case indicated that would be, I guess, two conditions, but technically we've covered the private water line condition, and the condition of this motion is approval of the final development plan. So I think there's still just the one condition, just making sure it's clear on the motion.
The first condition was approval of the final development plan. If something would have happened at the previous presentation, and for some odd reason the final development plan wasn't approved, then we still technically could have approved the final plat. On the written agreement, it's for the use of the private water system. It is both. That condition is set for both the final development plan and the final plat.
So it would be the, I guess, the suggestion for the motion as we go round table, that there would be then two conditions on the motion
Go ahead, sir.
instead of the one that I'm seeing in the staff report,
Yes, Curtis.
unless I'm looking at this wrong.
Curtis Holland for the developer. We're in agreement with both the conditions of that are as stated in the staff report. We understand that the water line agreement is something that's a requirement either for the final development plan or for the final plat. So technically, we're okay with both conditions as written. So just wanted to let you.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. Does that work for you, Commissioner
Thank you.
Mader?
thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Did you have anything else?
No, thank you. I'm good.
Commissioner Ford?
The only thing I was gonna say is I think what Commissioner Mader was speaking on is in our books, there's only one condition written, not two like there is on the screen, so I don't have any other further questions.
Commissioner Hanson?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Hanson?
Just compliment the staff on being able to provide the historical basis for the annexation and zoning history of the property. That's impressive. It's not always easy to retain those records over the years, so thank you for being able to share that.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Deaton?
No questions.
Commissioner McNear?
Nothing.
And I have nothing, so I'd be happy to accept the motion.
After review of application FP-20-11, a final plat for the Lakes of Conestoga dated January 15th, 2021, and staff report dated January 26th, 2021, the Planning Commission recommends the governing body approve the application subject to the following conditions. Approval of the final development plan and a written agreement for use of a private water system is provided on both the final development plan and I can't see behind what it is. The final plat between the city and the developer for the Lakes of Conestoga. I'm gonna guess that's what that says behind the box.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We'll have a motion by Commissioner Ford, a second by Commissioner Ham. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, next agenda items, discussion items. A discussion regarding Title 17 Land Development Code. What's this one all about?
Text amendments. So we have several text amendments that the director and staff are proposing. This tonight will be kind of talking points. Hopefully you had a little more time to review these than I did. And they will be up on the February agenda for more discussion and possibly approval.
Do you know where these came from, Bob?
The Land Development Code.
Yeah, but who, did you guys you got together and decided that these need to change, or is there some direction? Or?
We've had a little direction. Some of these items have been an issue from last year. Some of these items came about through even the Lakes of Conestoga, their conditional use permit. One came about from a developer who was looking to provide a sales office when our code doesn't allow it, and we're trying to come up with a means to work with him on a temporary basis. So I'll just kind of jump right into it. So over the past few months, staff has encountered several sections of the Land Development Code that require adjustments, clarifications, or updating on various chapters of the Land Development Code. Draft language related to potential changes is provided below and organized by chapter. A summary paragraph is provided in regards to the nature of the draft amendments. And after the summary paragraph, the existing language from the Land Development Code is provided in black font, and proposed draft changes are provided in red. And again, I know we just got these out to you. Is that today?
A couple hours ago.
Yeah. So and really tonight it kind of provides you guys the opportunity to kind of discuss some of these, ask questions. If by chance I don't have all the answers, I can tell you that we have been working with our attorney to make sure that some of these are appropriate.
Well, I'll just say, as the chair, I mean, it's a little hard to come up with a whole lot of questions and comments on it because we've got it so late.
Right. But again, as mentioned earlier, these are issues that have arisen in the past, in the recent past, and again, we're trying to come up with some solutions in kind of a fairly quick order. I can tell you that I know Dave has been, even before he became the director, was working on some of these as well. So without ado, I'll jump right into some of these, okay? So the First Amendment being proposed relates to the zoning of annexed land and how nonconformances are addressed at the time of annexation. Our current code actually conflicts with the state of Kansas court rulings. And because of this, we need to address that section of the code and establish a policy that corresponds with the court findings. We are currently working with Ryan Dank, our legal counsel, on these changes. The Second Amendment being proposed, located within the definitions section of the LEC. Current and past staff, through previous review of the Land Development Code, identified the need for clarification of several existing definitions and the additions of a few new ones to assist with the administration and interpretation of the regulations. One of the third sections is this next proposed change deals with the applications and procedures within Section 3 of the Land Development Code. Last September, the Plan Commission heard a case related to mobile home park, and tonight. As part of the case, there were two issues related to the Land Development Code that were identified. The first issue was related to the length of time a conditional use permit shall be valid. The proposed language changes to Section 1703050 are intended to address the establishment of a period of time associated with a conditional use permit and the allowance for an extension of such permit. In regards to the administrative adjustment process, there have also been some confusion related to use of this terminology and when the director is authorized to make administrative adjustments and when the Plan Commission is authorized to do so. The suggested changes clarify the role of the director and the Plan Commission and provide additional flexibility to both in regard to the consideration of these administrative adjustments. And then the last proposed change is within Section 5, the zoning districts and use standards. The second issue previously identified in relation to the mobile home community was the requirement of a conditional use permit for a manufactured mobile micro home community within the only zoning districts which allows such a use. The RM-P Residential Manufactured and Mobile Home Planned District is a special district that addresses a variety of development standards per the section 1706020. The proposed adjustment would change such use from a conditional use to a permitted use in the RM-P district. In a nutshell, that's kind of the proposed changes. If anyone has any questions, I will try to answer them.
Okay, I'll start with you, Commissioner Nader.
Yeah, I've got some questions. I didn't know if you wanted to take this like chunk by chunk, Chairman, if we're gonna go through each chunk by chunk and let every commissioner weigh in, or if you're gonna do your round robin, how you wanted to kind of manage the discussion.
I was going to do a
before
round
question.
robin, and I figured you'd probably have the most dealing with creating this code. So I figured I'd start with you and then head with everybody else.
Yeah, let me. Yeah. So this is. I'll be I'll be candid. This wasn't as scary as when I first saw the item on the agenda. When I saw that, oh, we're going to take a look at all of Title 17, my knees fell out from underneath me. But no, I see where some of these fit, and I do have some questions, and I wish our attorney was here with us, and he's not. Is that correct?
We
Our
have
attorney's
an
not
attorney
present?
here. We just don't have Brian here.
Oh, okay,
Hi,
okay.
Spencer Lau here.
Hi. It's been a hot minute. Hope you're doing well. So I guess, all right, Scott, I mean, I'm cool with going into all of my questions for each section, but I don't want anybody to get, lost in the shuffle if we're going through these different sections. Would you be comfortable, Chairman, going through each of the the chapters in a round robin style so we can get everybody from the dais to weigh in on questions for staff?
We
I mean, I'm
can,
comfortable with however you want to do it.
we can, or if it's something that you don't
However you
feel
want to do it.
is necessarily a huge issue for the commissioners and you're looking for clarification, again, we're not going to do any voting tonight, so you could also email
Right,
staff
it was
and,
totally
get
discussion.
clarification, then we can discuss it at the next meeting.
Yeah, okay, and that's cool. I can go down the list and we can move on. So I'll give her a start.
Okay.
So within the first section, right, which was chapter 17.01, the question I had, let me get to the exact area because I had a question on, hold on, maybe it's not within this one, and I'm looking at it on my computer. I don't have my printout like I usually do, which is so handy. Okay, so within the zoning classification, where we have within C, right underneath 17.01.030, establishment of districts, section C, annexed land, and we have right after the strike through, such rezoning request shall be for the corresponding district most similar to the zoning classification in effect under the prior jurisdiction or for an appropriate district associated with a development plan property for the property. So appropriate district, I'm assuming that's staff's going to make that judgment call, assumption. And then I also see down below, the city council may approve the city zoning classification, annexation, and an annexation agreement concurrently. I assume none of that is changing. This is just allowing staff the flexibility to determine the zoning classification at the time of the annexation prior to it being seen at either planning commission or at the governing body. Is that how I'm reading
I'll
it?
let Bob potentially, I know that you said, I believe a lot of this was due to state statute change.
Yeah, excuse me. It really wasn't state statute changes. It's basically court cases and rulings that have come from different cases all across the state of Kansas. Our current code basically states that we are to choose an appropriate zoning classification that is basically reflected of what is zoned out in the county. Because of court cases, that's not legal. We don't have the authority to do that. Which is why if you see.
And when you say we, you're saying we as staff?
No, we as the city cannot do that. We cannot arbitrarily
So then the
choose
planning
a different.
commission.
The plan, well, that's how any zoning change happens. It happens, first starts with the plan commission and then goes to the city council.
Correct.
So
but what I'm
we
reading
cannot,
here,
we cannot arbitrarily change the zoning classification to a city zoned district as part of an annexation, which is how it is stated in our code presently. Because of these court cases.
right?
And just so you know, Commissioner Mader,
And you're saying
there's about a 2 to 3 second delay between when we speak and when you actually hear it, just so you know.
So is it that our code is wrong?
That is correct. Yes, it is wrong.
And it needs to align with Kansas state statute currently wrote, not having to do with any cases currently in the works. It's how it's currently wrote today.
I think he clarified it didn't have to do with state statute, but had to do with court cases.
That is correct. There are no state statutes that spell this out for us. Just we've had court cases and rulings that have occurred all throughout the state that disallow a city from changing the zoning code just because of an annexation.
And just so you know, our attorney nodded his head during that.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't want to cut anyone off.
No,
but
you're good.
yeah, so this isn't
No,
a statutory issue. It's based on case law and challenges to people that have been brought in from a county into a city. A lot of times counties and cities have different zoning districts. And in the past, some cities have just gone ahead and said, oh, you're R2 now. And that irks people and that's led to lawsuits. So this is just a cleaner way to avoid the city from doing that and getting us all into some hot water. So it creates more of a process that's trackable and comes through the annexation process where we're reclassifying it at the same time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the clarity with the annexation question, because I didn't quite understand the timing of the cart before the horse with the cart and then the apple tree. So, okay. Then my next question. I didn't have anything within 17.0.2. That seems pretty. Pretty well for the muster. I'm okay with that. Hold on, I had one other question. Let me get down to it. Okay, so within section now, moving down, 17.03.050 conditional use permit. That section under number C, or I'm sorry, letter number, good grief, C, effective decision. I had a question on where it states, although the governing body may grant a one-time year extension if justified, is there a certain process in which there's justification? Is there a formal process for the governing body to justify the extension, or is that in the works? To me, when you read a contract, and this is what to me this is, the contract in essence. Now granted, it's the land development code, but if justified, what if they don't like a blonde-haired, brown-eyed person and I'm not deemed justified? Is there a specific justification process that the governing body could grant an extension within the conditional use permit area of section 17.03.050?
Well, the justification would be their vote as the governing body. Justification is they are the decision-making body, so they have that authority.
Okay.
The
so
reason for
that.
Yeah, the reason for these changes, just to kind of let the rest of in case there was questions about this, the conditional use permit is a perfect example when we put time limits on something. The perfect example of that is the lakes of Conestoga. It had to go through a conditional use permit, and the way our code reads, it's only good for 2 years. Now, what kind of developer is going to spend millions of dollars on infrastructure and fixing up a property to put in all that investment when it's only good for maybe 2 years? That's the whole point of the change of this section.
Yeah, and I felt that that was a very positive change, that we ran into that multiple times over the last couple of years.
Now, if we had some question about it, we can still put time limitations on it. It's just that we're not going to arbitrarily put a 2-year stamp on it.
And I don't disagree with that, but I think maybe some clarity around granting a 1-year a one-time, grant a one-time 1-year extension by vote would be better than if justified. So it's a little bit more clear. That was just one thing that stood out. I don't disagree. You know, we've done CUPs a lot, and I get that process, but just to make it a little bit more clear, so that's understood would be my takeaway on that one.
I'll get with Dave, the director, to again clarify this sentence. And
Okay, that was really one of the biggest glaring ones, which really I understand you. Yeah, I get it. I don't think I had any other questions, believe it or not. Chairman, I will. I'll consider myself good for now. I should say, consider my questions answered for now. We'll leave how I feel off the table and let you move on to some of the other commissioners. I bet they have questions too.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ford, do you have any comments?
The only comment that I have is, you know, we got this so late. I know we're not voting on it tonight. We're doing it next month. If, you know, if this is the final wording that we want to put to a vote, that we have, you know, a couple weeks to review it and study through the code and so forth. Because I don't have any questions, because I literally opened the document an hour ago. Right? So.
And that's why I was kind of doing it in the format that we're doing it right now.
Yeah. So I don't have any questions at this time, just because I haven't had a chance to really review the material.
And again, this was, from my understanding, it was supposed to be a vote.
Right.
Kind of throw it out, give a little bit of clarity to some extent, where we can get some like initial questions, and then the real down in discussion will be the next meeting that it's on the agenda. So.
And by all means, this is not set in stone. This is subject to change based on maybe further conversations and clarifications.
Thank you. Commissioner Hand.
I completely agree with the manner in which this needs to be addressed as far as meeting the need for the city to be in compliance with court cases and legality. I don't have any questions at the moment, just because, as Commissioner Ford said, we did receive it so late and having to review it. But I do, from the questions that the previous commissioner stated, I understand the need for the revision, but I don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanson.
I just echo the comments that were made by the two commissioners here, that I would just like a little more time to kind of read through it.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Deaton.
I have no questions at this time, thank you.
Commissioner McNear.
I'm good.
Okay, I'd just like to say that I obviously had to look through it relatively quickly, but I understand quite a few of these because it's issues that we've had throughout the meetings that I've been in. The parking and bicycle parking and setbacks and so forth. So I agree with what I've read so far, though I can't say I've read it really deeply. So that's my comments on it.
And one last thing, if any of the commissioners have additional comments after they have a time to thoroughly read through the proposed changes, by all means, give us a call, text us, email us. We'll be more than happy to go over each individual item with you.
And I'll reiterate that, especially for our new commissioners, it's very helpful for the city planners to get these questions prior to the meeting if you have them, as opposed to at the meeting. They're way more prepared to answer them. So, thank you, Bob. Do you have anything further?
Happy New Year.
Any commissioners? Everybody got their stuff? Questions answered? Commissioner Mader, you good?
Good, thank you, Chairman.
Okay, at this point, with nothing further, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Hanson and a second by Commissioner Ford. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.